All right, hello everybody. Thanks for joining me for another edition of Tech Talk. We are well into October now, and I'm holding a shock because I'm going to tell you something about these shocks later on in the show, so make sure you stick around to hear the details. So, let's see, it is October 12th, and we just came back from Trail Hero. I've got Jamie and Jeff in here in the studio to help me today, and we're here to talk about your favorite subject and mine, Jeeping. So we've got a lot of stuff to cover. As always, we welcome your questions and comments. So if you have something you want to ask us, the guys will read them off. Just type it in with as much detail as you can. I'm going to remind everybody to turn on their notifications and like and subscribe GenRight, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. And a lot of people don't realize we've got a really nice YouTube channel, so make sure you get over there and check that out too. Let's see. Today we are going to talk about the fact that we're having a sale right now. I'm going to go over some of those details. We're going to talk a little bit about driving your Jeep off-road. And then we're going to do a recap on Trail Hero. So if you missed that, you're going to want to check that out. If you were there, there's probably going to be some pictures of you, so you're going to want to check that out. So, and then I've got a reminder from my shipping staff that they're processing orders same day right now. So by all means, if you're looking for parts, we've got them, and we're going to talk more about that in just a second. All right. Our featured product today is actually going to be King Shocks. So we've got really good inventory on King Shocks. We've got good inventory on Curry axles. A lot of these vendors have finally caught up. In King Shocks, I've got the non-reservoir style like this, what's called Emulsion in 2.0. I've got the one like we've got right here with the reservoir. And I've got them in 14s and 12s. So, and I've also got air bumps, our 2-inch air bumps. We've got plenty of those with the cans. And I even have some 3.0 IBPs in Fox and King. So for those are limited, but we do have them. And also a note here that we've got 3 sets of Bilsteins in stock, 2.0s and a set of 2.5s. So if you guys are looking for shocks, we got them, springs, everything ready to rip. So those are on our website at a special price. You have to go there to check it out. In addition to that, we are running a Rocktober special right now, which is all, not all GenRight product, limited GenRight product. That you'll have to go to the website and you can click on the Rocktober. I'm getting there. Okay. All right. Excellent. So check that out. Oh, and I've got 2 Atlas transfer cases in stock to fit JK with 6-cylinder. So if you've got a JK, you're building it, you've been looking for a transfer case, I've got them in stock, ready to go. All right, let's talk about Trail Hero. This is a big event for us, and we brought a lot of our guys out there, and we got some great pictures and stuff. So, and what I'm going to do is mix in a little bit of driving stuff as we're going through this, and you know, by all means, questions are welcome. Have we got anything so far?
No, we just have a few notables on. We got Ray Sheen on.
Nice, Ray, yeah.
Set of shocks up at Colbert, Anthony Paquette, then at GenRight.
Nice.
Paul's on, Don Cars, Rich Jadlowski, which we had the TJ Tracer build out there.
Nice.
Summer's on. Got
Cool.
To see her at
Got to see her, yep, she wheeled with us.
Tom and Laura Patterson are on.
They wheel with us.
Mike Sage and our buddy Stephen Bird.
Nice. And I never heard, after we charged Ray's shocks with nitrogen, I never heard the result of that. Did you hear, or maybe he can reply with how much better they felt?
I did not, but he did say after we adjusted them before we had nitrogen,
they were better. Yeah, so hopefully with the nitrogen they were even better. So for those of you that don't know, when we go to these events, we do help people. So we're always out there to, especially our customers, right? Obviously, if they have questions or need adjustments, we're there to do that stuff. Okay, so this was actually a shot from our Plan B trail, and these were the guys that were coming up the big hill up to where I was sitting at. And this is, if you're not familiar with this, I'm standing up on top of the sand hill looking down over the lake there at Sand Hollow OHV area. This is the big vendor area that we had there. And, you know, it's hard to tell where we are, but obviously there was a lot of vendors. So, and James, I'm assuming you're zoomed in on that. Okay. We did a little group shot of our guys. Up top, we had Shane Smith, Keith from Reno, Shane's son Ethan, Jamie, that looks like Jeff, our dealer Sean and Christina from Lift Off Road. That's Terry Mode's Jeep, my Jeep, the Aftershock, Jim Broadbent, Cameron's, TJ to LJ, Ari's brand new EXS. Looks like Paul's, JK in there, and who's last over there?
That's Summers.
Summers. Okay, good. She's watching right now too, so that's cool. Great spot. This is right before the shoot on Dummel Sammy, and kind of a nice overlook there.
Ray Sheen said big thanks to Jeff and Tony for help setting up. Yes, it really helped the ride and control.
Good. Okay, excellent. He had just finished his JK Elite, and we wanted to make sure he got set up. So this is Ari's. So this looks a lot like the Aftershock. Really the only difference now is the blue wheels. So if you're trying to figure out what Jeep's what, they're very close. I almost got into the wrong Jeep several times. So this was a shot that Jamie did early morning, one of the mornings, and that looks pretty cool. That's our next EXS that we delivered and went straight out there to the event. That is also Ari picking his way through the trail. If you're not familiar with the EXS, these ramp on an RTI at 1100, so plenty of travel and also very roadworthy, so big difference there. Most Jeeps that'll travel 1100 on the RTI drive like absolute dog meat. Cameron's Jeep, the TJ to LJ that now everybody knows, he was just going everywhere, unbelievable. And this is not one of those crazy obstacles, but it's a great shot of his Jeep. And coming up, there's Nick in the background, driving his side by side. And Jim Broadbent, so this is a Legend suspension that we put on his YJ. It's got a 360 V8, and he's had this for a while. He wanted something with a little better suspension when we first built it up. And that looks like Craig Colbert in the background. And then we've got Eric Brady, who just put a LS in, and obviously, you know, all GenRight equipped. And he was ripping around with his wife and daughter in there, having a good time. And then Patrick in Shamrock. Laura's not in there right now, but Patrick Vaughn got this. This is a tracer build we did. So obviously it's a stretched LJ. And he's had this for about a year, maybe more.
Yep, it was our second tracer we did with the inline.
6-cylinder.
Inline
Yep,
six, yeah.
yep. So stock drivetrain. And he's having a great time. He was wheeling his heart out. By the way, I noticed almost everybody out there who had our cage also upgraded to our aluminum roof. Those were super popular out there. So
You almost had to, or you're going to fry out.
yeah, yeah, it was hot.
Make a huge difference.
Yeah, and the previous year it rained, and that worked out good too. So yeah, either way. Kelly, obviously in his V8 powered tracer on 42s. So the Silver Surfer in good form right there. He was having a good time out there. And then Jamie in his YJ to LJ tracer look-alike, you know, as much as you can do a YJ. Also LS powered, was out there. This is that harder line on Double Sammy, right, where you walk up the middle. So that's cool. Looks like Jeff's getting him there. And Jamie's usual monster truck style. Vroom, vroom.
That picture's misleading.
I know. It was dusty.
I think he hit that with his minimal drive.
Actually, Jamie had very good throttle control. So we're gonna talk about throttle control here pretty soon. But yeah. Trevor and I can't remember the other guy's name from WFO came out and joined us on Milt's Mile. They've got a older scrambler all tricked out with our stuff. He takes it on the Rubicon all the time. They're up there in Auburn, California, so you may be familiar with them if you've ever come to Jeepers Jamboree. And Shane had the Wolverine out, and it looked awesome, drove awesome. So yeah, it's good to have him back out wheeling that with our Elite suspension. And if you never heard the story on this, go over to our YouTube channel and watch the video. He tells his story about how he found out about us and why he had us build his Jeep.
We have a good question, Tony.
Sure.
From YouTube, are all GenRight Jeeps that you are showing from Trailer road drivable as well?
Yeah, all of them are road drivable. In fact, even, not that you're supposed to do it, but even on lower tire pressure, to run to the gas station or do any of this stuff, the Jeeps are very roadworthy, and then you air up the tires and, it's great. I know when I left to go get gas, I had just aired up my tires, and Bryce from Dixie was behind me in their Gladiator, and I just took off. And he later on, he came up and he's like, dude, that thing hauls. It's like, well, yeah, it drives really good. So, I think a lot of people have been very surprised how well the 6-cylinder works in the JL with that 8-speed tranny. So we'll talk about that a little bit too. But yeah, all of it, in fact, Shane lives a good half an hour from work here, and he drives that very often, to and from. Yep. On the freeway.
Gabrielle says, I have a JKU just picked up. I have a JKU, but I just picked up a 06LJ. Can't decide whether it would be better to go with a Legend or Tracer. Stock drivetrain for now. Will mostly be a dedicated wheeler, but may need to make long trips to get to wheeling.
So this is a debatable topic. The Legend suspension was originally designed for somebody who wanted to do it in pieces, in stages over time. And it was also a builder's kit, so it gave you the ability to stretch the Jeep a lot or stretch the Jeep a little bit, do more in the front, more in the rear, run different axles. You could run anything, any kind of axles from the junkyard, Sterlings, 14 bolts, whatever you want. There's no parameters on the Legend. When you go to the Tracer, that's been designed around the Curry axles. That was designed originally for an LS engine and transmission. However, we've since then made it backward compatible to the 6-cylinder and stick or automatic transmission. So the Tracer does have a lower center of gravity, but that also means the belly clearance is lower. So depending on where you're wheeling, you may want the belly clearance of the Legend kit. So those are all things that you can call in and talk to one of our guys who are kind of advisors on all that and find the particulars about your build.
And the Tracer is pretty much specifically made to be done all at the same time.
All at the same time. Yeah, we have offered the pieces, but honestly, if you were to buy a few pieces, you'd be calling us back and saying, all right, give me the rest, because it's almost impossible to do it a little bit at a time. So unless your Jeep's just on jack stands and you're going to do it over time, but you're not going to be out driving it and stuff in between. Where the Legend, you could have the front half could still be Rubicon Express and the rear half could still be, our stuff or vice versa. So.
We have another question.
Sure.
When will we have the taillight bezels in stock?
I just got the confirmation that they should be here like tomorrow or the next day. And then we've already got some orders in the system for them. So those will ship right away. And if you're waiting, you better get your order in, because as soon as we get them, they're gone. So if you don't already have an order, get that in for sure. So, yep, good question. Okay, so Craig Colbert's Tracer What's different about this one is that we used a GM Performance, basically a stock LS3 and 4L80 transmission. And he does a lot of overlanding in this. He and I actually overlanded over to the Grand Canyon. He and I have gone to Anza Borrego. We've gone a bunch of different places together. And so he uses this all around, rock crawling and overlanding and just driving around the street. He enjoys it. Yep.
Did you guys register Jordan for KOH yet? So we can buy tickets and support this?
Great question. So to my knowledge, driver registration has not opened yet. So we're still waiting for the, trust me, the moment it's open, I will be talking to you guys about it. So yeah, just not quite yet. But please, go back and select it for us. I'd appreciate that. Anything else?
We are all covered.
Okay, good. Okay, so Craig Colbert, looks like that's probably, I don't know who that is behind him.
Looks like Patrick Vaughn.
Oh, Patrick Vaughn, that's who it is. Another shot of Kelly. Reminder, Kelly's got the fastback cage, so he's got the modified aluminum roof on there, and of course he's got the Vision X light bar. So just a couple of more, cool mods that a lot of our Jeeps run. Shane Smith and his stretched LJ, which he just recently put in LS. He's out of Missouri, and his son Ethan was there driving, doing a great job. He's 13. Ethan is, not Shane. There's Ethan. He had the student driver sticker on there, so that was cool.
He had it on every side of that thing.
Did he?
It was on the front, the side. Yeah.
Nice.
He did good though.
He did really good.
Jack Upton wants to know, did everyone manage to keep the rubber side down this year?
Of our group, yes. Yes. I'm not going to throw the guy under the bus that didn't, but I'll let him do that. This is Terry Mode. And as you'll notice, a lot of these guys that I'm showing you are also on Mickey Thompson's. So very popular tire, that Baja Boss. And Terry just recently did the Curry 70 and the Curry 60. He had originally Curry axles, but they were the older generation. So he just upgraded to the newer, bigger stuff. On the, the newer stuff is a beefier casting. It's got a bigger pinion, just more teeth in contact. All the stuff I always talk about. So he's going to want to go to 42s here pretty quick. Mickey Thompson, there was a sneak peek of those while we were out there. So I know they're getting released at SEMA, so they're coming. Again, Terry, clean, stretched LJ. Even, this was built even before we came out with our Tracer. This was built by a dealer of ours up in Twin Falls, Idaho. And yeah, Terry's had this for a while. It sits, he calls it the low LJ. Sits nice and low. He's also got an LS in there. And then, of course, Aftershock ran great. I had a great time ripping around in the dunes. If you saw that, yeah. What do you got, Jeff?
John Livingston, quick question, steel versus aluminum. I flopped with Tony on 777s a couple years ago and did my rear armor on my LJ. I have a 12-year-old steel Highline armor. Would it be a huge benefit to upgrade all my armor to aluminum versus replacing just the rear steel armor?
Yeah, that's a great, and I saw him out there. I don't know if you did, but I saw him again this time when we were out there at Trail Hero. So good to see you, and thanks for watching. To answer your question, per side of your steel armor on your LJ is 60 pounds. When you go to the aluminum, it's 12 pounds. So it's a huge weight savings. In addition to that, I would really advise going everything aluminum. There's a giant weight savings across the board. And on most Jeeps, when you do it all, the conversion ends up being about a 400 plus pound savings from steel to aluminum. So yeah, the aluminum's definitely the way to go. And the other way to look at it, I have this conversation all the time is, when you have steel stuff on your Jeep, say for instance a fender, well, the fender is stronger than what it's bolted to. So if you do hit it hard, it's just gonna cave in the side of your Jeep, okay? Where if you've got aluminum, it's tough, but when it really comes down to it, it's going to fold up about at the same rate as wherever it's bolted to. So your likelihood of being able to save the rest of the Jeep is really high. So that would be my recommendation. Yep.
Parker Bogus. I'm going to stretch my CJ7 over the winter, mainly wheeling in Moab and San Helo. What wheelbase would you recommend running 37s?
Well, okay. So when I started the company, everybody was wanting to go to 37s. So it's what I call the magic 100-inch wheelbase. Today, everybody even wants to go longer than that, right? So I would say today on 37s, people are even going to want to be 105, 103, 105. So get as long as you can. It's going to be tough, depending on what you're starting with, but it makes a huge difference. And remember, stretching in the rear matters more than stretching in the front. Typically, I tell people to push that front end, 4 or so inches in the front, because once you go past that, you got to do something with the steering box. So without messing with the steering box, that's as much as you can go by using our twisted pitman arm. So the rest of it all happens in the back. And trust me, you'll never look back. I mean, even some of these pictures I've been showing you of Cameron's, what was a TJ, he's just going everywhere he wants to go. So without lifting a wheel or doing anything funny. So yeah, that wheelbase matters. More?
What's the minimum wheelbase for 42s?
Oh. Gosh. Ideal is going to be like 115 to 118 is where I would say. Some people would probably even say 120. I've done it on a shorter wheelbase as 110, but it's a little squirrely, so that's where you want to be, somewhere in that range. So Kelly's on 42s at 115. So, and as soon as they're available, I'll be on them at 118. So, all right.
I will not be on them at 107.
No. Yeah, really, if you're not familiar with that dynamic, what it is it's about the amount of traction you have, and you've got good low gears, so your torque will literally pull you over backwards. So, although the vehicle may seem like it wants to do it, you're fighting everything. So, anyways. Okay, so by the way, if you didn't notice, this is the first full production roll cage. The second one is in Ari's, and we've got, yes, there you go. There's a great shot of it with our aluminum cargo rack. I am gonna do the aluminum roof, but for these pictures, we left it off. Ari's got the aluminum roof. And if you notice, for a lot of you, because a lot of you have given me a bad time for a while, it now has the GenRight fenders. So we got rid of those plastic ones. The plastic ones made it literally halfway on the first day before they got crunched into the rock. So, and I remember saying on the video, like, this is the reason you don't run this stuff, because it just sticks out.
We got a pretty good JL install video coming.
Coming up, yes. So I think you guys will like it.
Cameron says, EJ to LJ conversion with a 2.5 liter and 42 sounds like a good time.
So for those of you that haven't met Cameron recently put on air bumps. So he was racing me through the dunes and on the downhill, of course. But he was ripping, like, even with the 2.0s and having the air bumps, he said that made all the difference for him to rip. So, and then he's going to be out at the Hammers with us in a couple weekends, so that'll be fun. Anyways, Aftershock did great.
Livingston said, everything wheeling with you sounds like a good time, but I usually end up replacing blown shocks or something chasing you down.
So John was part of the LJ adventure that I went on, I don't know, 3 years ago. And obviously it was the LJ adventure, but I was just coming from another event and I had my Terremoto in the trailer. So on the last day, I pulled the Terremoto out and I was ripping around. Well, I saw a couple of the other guys racing their LJs, and I didn't want to miss out on the race, so I just hooked it. And there's a video of them, they're hauling, and I just go, woo, you know, flying by. So since then, I know that one of those guys has put a bigger V8 in, and, you know, everybody's stepping up their game. So it's funny to see, you know, that ripple effect go on. Yeah.
Our buddy Steve Waterman will a 4.0 liter 3-speed pull 42s.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, you know, basically that all happens in the axle. So when you go 538s, you're bringing it back to stock. So 538, like on a Curry axle, is as close as you can get versus a 40, right? You know, ideal is a 40 on 538, but 42 is only 1 inch on the bottom. So there are other ratios available in different axles, but 538 is plenty. And my old YJ, which we've got on the wall up here, ran 42s with the 4.2 liter, and you know that thing was tired, a couple 100,000 miles on it, and I did the whole ultimate adventure. Now it's no speed limit, I could go the speed limit, but when you go to low range, man, you got plenty. So yeah, definitely don't worry about that. And by the way, remember when you got lockers and how much more capable your Jeep felt? Well, putting 42s on from 40s is that. Like it is significant when you're out wheeling. It's the equivalent of a locker, or it's the equivalent of going to a sticky. It is another step. So don't underestimate the 42. It's definitely cool.
Yeah, super pumped to follow you with all the 42. Really looking forward to this.
Sorry. You're gonna have to do that TJ to LJ. All right. Here's Jeff in the Banshee. Speaking of, you know, there you go. There's his wheelbase helping him out there. So, but you know, by the way, there is no perfect wheelbase, right? Jeff gets through some stuff beautifully, the tight stuff, and the rest of us have to 3-point it or struggle. So there's always pros and cons to this whole thing. So, yeah. I mean, a lot of these obstacles that we're on were, you know, kind of made by JKs and stuff. So, you know.
That was really the only place where I felt like I wanted a longer wheelbase.
Yeah. Yeah. Otherwise, you're perfectly happy.
Yeah.
So, yep. All right. Sam Walker, I don't know if he's on today, but we got a shot of him in his GenRight mostly equipped Jeep. Pretty cool. I think that looks like it's coming up the chute. And let's go back. Let me see if I can find this might be a good one for throttle control. So one of the things that I noticed, not necessarily from my group, but from other people that were out there, you know, when you're out on the trail, first there's picking the line, right? So you have to understand how the dynamics of your vehicle work. By the way, all vehicles do this. So when the torque of the motor pulls the driver's side up and pushes the rear down in this order. I don't care if it's Toyota, Jeep, how long the wheelbase is, this is how it works. Okay, so you have to understand what that looks like. That means if you have an opportunity to put these tires higher on the obstacle, you're more likely to stay planted. Okay, so the next thing is you can offset this by riding the brake a little bit. I know that might sound odd that you're going up a hill, but you're riding the brake. What that does is it loads the suspension and takes all the slack out. So slack out of the driveline, slack out of everything, so it's really planted. The next thing is you want to go, depending on how slippery it is, 1 to 2 times walking speed. Okay, so you need to be able to plant your foot in a position like against a tunnel or whatever that looks like, where your speed is steady, okay? If you're on and off the gas, all you're doing is braking traction and adding slack to the driveline, which means all the tires bite differently, and then the thing is like squirrely and you're all over the place. So this is
Helps with that.
a lot, yes. So I know all of these tips, you know, either you've heard them before or you're thinking, oh, you know, no big deal. Well, let me tell you, when you're hanging on the side of a hill and you're having to remember all this and actually do it, it's quite challenging. And but you need to figure out how to master it, because it's the difference between a total rookie and somebody who actually makes it to the end of the day without landing on the lid. And for some of you folks, what makes it tougher, not necessarily in Jeff's case, but like in a newer JK or JL or JT, they're electronic throttle pedal. So there's actually no cable going to the throttle. So they make a thing called the pedal commander. They're called a bunch of different things, but pedal commander is the one that's easiest. And you can change how sensitive the throttle pedal is. And for some people, that's much easier to do. It just requires a lot more throw on the pedal. So if you haven't heard of that, you might want to look into that. Jeff, you had another question?
One from YouTube. What's the wheelbase on Jeff's TJ and any plans TJ LJ conversion? My wheelbase is at 107 right now, and maybe at a later time.
Yeah.
Ready just to wheel it for a while.
Yeah, and not work on it. Jeff's been working on it for a while now, so he's ready to just wheel.
One more.
Sure.
How much rear up travel are y'all getting out of LJs with tracer stretch? Upper link mounts on the truss, end up right under the crossmember. Removed rear crossmember to move gas tank back. Now thinking about notching the other crossmember.
Yeah, so we take out those cross members, so those are removed and out of the way. We've also, we're using the Curry axle that has the built-in bridge. Again, guys, this is part of the reason we chose the Curry axles, is the bridge is very low. We're able to very low mount the Johnny joints on there and keep it so we've got as much up travel as possible. We're running a 14-inch travel shock, so when you think about what's happening back there, you've got a lot of suspension travel. Most of the tracers, we didn't have a picture in here, but most of them can almost virtually drive sideways on the front wheels. I mean, they flex out like crazy. They're probably in the 1200 range on the RTI ramp, so just gives you a little more idea. But because those are 14-inch travel front and rear. Yep.
On a TJ Dana 44 rear axle, when updating shafts and lockers, is there a downside of going to a 35 spline? I don't want to make my ring and pinion the weakest link, running 538s.
Yeah, okay, so all of that is not what you want. If you need to go to 538s, if you need all that, you should be in a 60, for sure, at least. Here's what happens. The ring and pinion is one aspect, right? Because the pinion is now very small. You probably have 1 or 1.5 teeth in contact with the ring gear. What's worse is the 35 spline has now punched out your carrier and it's thin. Okay, so the bearing doesn't get any bigger. So no matter how big of an axle shaft you go with, the bearing's the same size. So that means they're just thinning that out and broaching it to fit the bigger axle. So those are all weak spots, and your weak spot is going to be the ring and pinion. If I were you, I'd be running a 1310 drive shaft, those U-joints in the drive shaft, and hope that breaks before any of that other stuff. Because you break a ring and pinion, you're out of commission. That's a real problem. Breaking an axle shaft is one thing, but I can also tell you this. If you break an axle shaft with that ring and pinion, the shock load that goes through there is going to fracture the teeth, and maybe they don't break that day, but they're going to break in the very near future. So sometimes you just have to set it aside and say, okay, it's time for me to step up, and yeah, it's a little bit more money, but I'm going to save. And by the way, you can sell what you have right now because it's not broken. Okay, so just think about that. That helps you get into the next thing that much easier. So that was my program back in the day before I had GenRight.
Ari says, when attending an event such as Trail Hero, what are the 3 most common spares needed?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I'll just talk out loud, right? So, toe strap, right? First aid kit. We had a guy with us that broke a drive shaft, so I mean, I always have a drive shaft in mine. U-joints. Sometimes a hub fuse. Winch controller. More commonly, I would say I didn't see anybody this weekend, but we have had it out there where we've gotten a flat, you know, a spare and a jack, you know, are pretty common. And then tire patch kit, the tools to repair that. Some of the smaller stuff I think is, it's really common you're working the crap out of your steering, so power steering fluid. If you break a brake line, you're gonna need brake fluid. You need to keep track of all the fluids on your Jeep. And then, you know, obviously if you need to air back up, some kind of a compressor. And navigation. People are getting lost all the time. So if you can download Gaia or one of these, you know, inexpensive apps and get some maps, or at least keep track of where you're going so you know where to get back, those are all good things.
Sam Walker says cell phone and a high limit credit card.
Yeah, water-cooled credit card sounds great.
Gas.
Yeah.
More gas.
More gas. A lot of people are running out of gas. Yes, a lot of people. Yeah, gas was definitely, and I needed to figure out a way to cool my shocks off more because I wanted to go faster. So,
Same.
bam. Yeah, that's fun.
I'm gonna put a heat gun on your shocks.
They were hot. I'm surprised the stickers didn't melt off. Jeff, I was gonna have you mention to everybody when we were playing around in the dunes, you had said something like it was obvious how much better our suspension worked, like how smooth the Jeep was.
Wasn't bouncing you at all, heck, and
Yeah.
was able to say smooth on the throttle and even accelerate if you needed to.
Yeah, yeah. And I was giving rides out there in the dunes, like I would pull up and more people would get in and I'd go back out, you know, so it was pretty fun.
2015 JKU Rubicon on 37 by 1250 wheels with stock axle or stock Dana 44 axle. Jeep came with 10-inch steel fenders. What size fenders should I run?
10-inch steel fenders. Well, okay, so part of it depends on where you live, right? If you live in Pennsylvania or Utah, you need full tire coverage or you're gonna get pulled over, okay? For wheeling, you want the narrowest fender you can put on there. We typically sell like a 4-inch is what's most popular, but we even have some zeros. So,
You said JKU, so
yeah.
we have the narrows of the 4-inch.
or the deletes, right? So, yeah. So it just depends on what kind of wheeling you're doing. 37, I mean, you know, virtually that'll fit under anything. A lot of people even trim up their plastic stuff, but that look's not for everybody. So, yeah. But what I'm running is the 4-inch, like what Shane's got, or Ari. I think that's just this is the 4-inch front and rear. So, and trust me, when you're out there, that is as wide as you want to go, or you're gonna scrape the crap out of it.
Narrows on Terramoto.
Terramoto, yeah, which is the same as this. Yeah.
Dave Ocha wants to know if anyone get the gaslight challenge this past trip.
I think I was close.
Jamie was close. I definitely avoided it.
I did not run out of gas once. I
No.
ran out of gas last year.
I drove to the gas station and it took over 20.
Oh,
So
wow.
I'd have been negative.
I'm probably the overall long term, I'm the winner. Like I run out of gas all the time. But
No arguments.
no, this time I think everybody did pretty good. So,
Well, since you switched to aftershock over Terramoto, you've
Yeah.
been significantly better with
Yeah.
gas gauge and getting hybrid mileage.
gas
Yeah.
I think a lot of people were surprised how fast this was. Just the little 6-cylinder.
I'm constantly surprised. Because
Yeah.
of that transmission?
Yeah, like it's the 8-speed.
Okay, so let's talk about that. That was one of the things I wanted to talk about was if you're driving a JK, a JL, a JT, the moment you go off-road, you better be in manual mode, right? Like that is the key. And if you're in high range, turn off the traction control, right? That's going to release a bunch of the safety things that are constantly reducing the throttle. And then when you're in low range, it automatically turns off the traction control. So, but in all cases, high or low range, you want to be in manual mode. You want as much control of the transmission as possible. And, you know, these smaller engines, you got to rev them up. But, man, when you do, they're making some beans. So.
From YouTube, I'm going to do a long arm control arm kit on my TJ. What's the best lift? What the best lift better to go with a daily driver? 50-50 on and off road. What do you recommend?
Well, I mean, obviously I'm going to recommend ours, but that's more of a builder's kit too, right? So the more affordable version would be the Legend kit. You know, I know that there's people that do hybrids with ours. You know, they'll run like TerraFlex arms and, you know, our shock mounts or whatever. But at the end of the day, when you take a TerraFlex or a Rebel or an Off-Road Evolution, any of these kits, by the time you include our flat belly skid plate and our gas tank, they're virtually the same price. So just make sure that you're really comparing apples to apples. The joints that we run in ours are genuine Johnny joints, Rock Jock Johnny joints, and those are the best by far. Every other one is a copy of that. So you just make sure you're getting the facts. And I always tell people, like, I only sell what I run on my own Jeep. And I've already weeded through all the different products, and everything you see, whether it's on the Aftershock or the Terremoto, is the best of the best. So you can count on that. Yep.
Just do the rear fenders with a smaller flare as 4-inch limit how much stuff gets thrown up into the cab. It seemed like Growler added them recently. Curious if it helps much. Zach Gupto, he's the TJ guy.
So Growler's got no flares in the back. Were you getting much thrown up in there? Okay, so we don't have the video, and I don't know if you ended up posting that video yet, Jeff, of when Craig and I went to the Grand Canyon and he was going through the mud, because he's got the 4-inch flares. And when he was in the really heavy mud, the kind that's like flinging off, it wasn't enough. Now, me personally, I would get some conveyor belt rubber and I would put it under there temporarily for the 10 days a year we wheel in that kind of crappy condition and deal with it. But the rest of the time, I don't want a wider metal flare on there, that's for sure.
I'm probably just going to skip out on those 10 days a wheel.
Well, Craig didn't have much choice. We were already out there and then it rained, so that was the way.
I would have put it in neutral like you told me.
Yeah, then I would have roasted you.
It's better than getting it in the undercarriage.
Yeah. I did spend 2 hours at the car wash.
And I have wheeled in the mud with no flares, and there's really not. Like,
Yeah.
Maybe a little spatter in the mirror, but you just wipe it off with a...
Oh, and by the way, because I don't run any inner fender wells, and I was like mobbing the mud and stuff, like the river crossings, I took pictures of my engine compartment, and there's not a drop of frickin' mud in there. Okay, so anybody who argues about they gotta have inner fenders, they're smoking crack. You do not. You absolutely do not.
Besides ours, you guys need ours.
It's you're doing it for like finish and look, yeah. So.
Would you recommend someone to upgrade to the JKU Trans to the 8-speed? And do you know if they would be considered car legal?
So I do recommend it. It is not cheap. You're looking at for the parts, you're into the tune about $6,800. It will not affect your carb because the OBD2 is plugged into the motor, and when they plug in, that'll all be fine. So yeah, if you're low mileage, like with a 6-speed, and you're going to keep that Jeep for a while, it could totally be worth it. And you could sell it. It will be worth more down the road. So, yeah, and you could sell your old tranny as still a good tranny to help offset the cost of the new one. So, yep. What else you got?
Rick Turner says he was hoping to see Tuxedo out on the trails.
Well, we took Cameron instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all cut up on questions.
Okay, let me see what else I had here. Let's see. Oh, our new app. So if you guys haven't done it yet, go to the Apple or Android App Store, download the GenRight app, and I don't know if this is going to open because I'm in airplane mode, but oh yeah, it does. So anyways, there's a ton of information here. Well, it's kind of loading. And this is your single portal to access all of the GenRight information, events, sales. There's even a GenRight like Nation in there where there's a whole Q&A based on each different Jeep model. We've got Tech Talk. We've got our Real Hammers experience. We've got downloadable tech sheets in here. You can access all of the different products through our website, straight through here. So it's kind of a one-touch, you're in everything GenRight. And once you do download it though, make sure you don't skip past the notifications. Make sure you turn on those notifications, so allow them, and then create a login profile. So we're actually creating different groups for everyone inside here, and we're doing it based on how so if you come in and say I drive a JK or a CJ or whatever, then you'll only see that information. You're not going to see everything about a JL if you're a CJ guy. So it really is a cool thing. Anything to add to that, Jeff?
Yeah, to create an account, you just click the dots on the top right, and then that'll bring a drop down. You just click login, and that'll prompt you to make an account. So it's super simple.
Yeah, it is super simple. So it's not like lengthy, and we're not asking for your social security number or any of that junk. So it's a free thing, by the way.
Summer says the notifications are awesome if you want to be able to join last minute rides, etc., or event stuff. I think she got the notification and she came out to run double Sammy with us.
Yeah. So that's part of the reason we built this thing, right? Was when we go to an event, we want to be able to say, hey, we're at the booth and we've got, Tuxedo there or Terremoto or whatever. If you guys want to come over right now, we're doing rides, we're doing a sale, we're doing a trail ride, like whatever. Even one time we just came back and we were hanging out and barbecuing burgers, and we sent out a notification just to let everybody know we were back at the RV. So it's super handy if you're trying to track us down and want us to look at your Jeep or just talk to us. So yeah.
Kyle has a question which I do not know the answer to yet.
Ah.
Get with the app guy. Said if you have multiple models of Jeeps, can you add multiples to your account?
I knew that was going to come up. Maybe the app guy is watching, so we'll see.
Don Cars, will you merge the logins with the website and the app one day?
They're really kind of separate platforms. Yeah, I don't know that. I know that's getting popular, like across, buying platforms, but.
Possible.
Maybe someday, Don.
Yeah, but
I'll look into it.
It would be cool if everybody would download our app and then we could just like cross-reference the two. But right now, not enough people have downloaded the app, so.
If I can get like the CSV of the emails and all that crap.
Right, then we could do it. Yeah. So, okay. So next, well, unless you got more questions.
Somebody said in the app, do GenRight off-road ambassadors post rides? Yeah, that'd be awesome if they'll be encouraged to post their rides under their specific tech forum so they can answer questions about their individual build.
Yep, and we're still doing Jeep nights every third Friday of each month, across the nation. So wherever we've got ambassadors, they're doing it. Okay. Oh, and by the way, I meant to tell everybody, I'm running my fridge and all my tools and everything in there all the time. So this thing was not light. Like I had everything in there. So, and we were ripping with 4 people. Okay. So this is what Jamie was telling me. So when you go to our website, you just click on Rocktober sale in this top, and then this will show you all of the things that we have on sale for the different model Jeeps. So get over there, and it's a great sale. So.
I mean, it's bumpers, cages, fenders, gas tanks,
rockers, and tire carriers. Yeah, a lot of the main products
for most models.
For most models. When we get to Black Friday, we were talking about this earlier today, we will put on a few more items that would be different, things like some of our DIY parts. So, you know, I don't know if you can wait till then, but that's possible.
Rocktober's only while supplies last.
Correct.
It won't stay up until
Yeah.
Friday.
So the only thing in addition to this right now is those transfer cases and the King shocks. The King shocks have a lowered price, lower than we've ever had them. So if you're looking for shocks, now's the time to go check the website and check that out. And we've got the Curry axles. Those are not necessarily on sale, but they're finally in stock. So
they're kind of like unicorns getting them in stock. So
yeah. Yeah.
I don't expect
And
to have
all of those are 538 with Auburn electric lockers. Those are the good ones. So, yep.
Shout out, our buddy from Costa Rica is on, the one that joined us at Easter Jeep Safari.
Nice, nice, awesome, yeah. Good to see you. The what? The jacks? No, not yet, not yet. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about was I don't know what you're doing for Thanksgiving, but you are welcome to join us for our annual turkey run. This is like the 10th or 12th, or I don't even know how many. Yeah, it's a lot. We do a potluck dinner. We wheel every day, and we've talked about doing some tech stuff, you know, on Jeeps, and maybe even adjusting suspensions and talking about that. We've talked about doing some driver training. This is all based on, you know, what kind of interest level we get from the participants. And we also talked about the driver training, and what else was there, Jeff, that we were just talking about?
Pre-running?
Maybe pre-running. Nah, I thought it was.
Yeah, you talk about driver training, minor shock tuning, maybe like
Oh.
walking people through trails.
That they were talking, yeah, like do actually like serious instruction. But I also want to remind everybody that we would cater the trails to the people that are there. So if you're there on 35s and, you know, just want to like cruise around and check out the greater Johnson Valley area, we can do that. Or if you want to run, you know, wrecking ball, we can do that. So
Yeah, we'll find someone to cater
to do that,
whoever.
yeah, because we're gonna have vehicles of all levels out there, and we're starting it on the 19th, and that'll go all the way through the following weekend past Thanksgiving, that Saturday. So, all right.
How many cords of wood are you ordering?
We're ordering 4 cords of wood, so we will have a big campfire every night. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
That's the most fun you can have wheeling.
Yeah, and it's fun like KOH. Like, you know, there's a lot of people out there, and there's people at a back door and Chocolate Thunder, and there's stuff to see and do every night, or hang out at the fire and relax. And I mean, you know, everybody's barbecuing and hanging out, and then we're wheeling, you know, all day.
It's very casual.
Yeah, trust me.
You don't have to do anything.
If you come for the whole time, by the 3rd day, you're gonna need a full bottle of Advil, because you're gonna be sore, like you're wheeling so much that your body is gonna be aching.
Gas.
And gas,
I
yeah.
think it's the 16th. Because I was
16th.
editing the graphic,
Yeah.
and it said 2012, and on top it said 6th annual.
Oh, okay. So there you go.
Good quick math.
Yeah, good quick math. So yeah, we've been doing it for a while. If you've missed out, you don't know what you're missing, it's not too late to make plans, and I'll show you where to go. If you go right here to company and scroll down, you'll see the sign up for that, and that'll let us know that you're coming, because we've got to allot for how big of a camp to have. And we've already got our camp picked out. Jeff picked out the spot today. So
And then whoever signs up there, we're going to send out an email that has the full
all the details, yes.
including
Yeah.
your camps.
Yep,
all the
and
trails.
a list for doing the potluck if you're staying for Thanksgiving.
GPS coordinates are actually on our app already.
Okay, oh, there you go. Even better, on the app. There's another reason to have the app, yeah. And the app will be advanced new product notices, advanced sale notices. Like we're gonna use that. Anybody that's on the app will be definitely first in line to find out all this stuff. Back to the turkey run. You don't have to come for the whole time. Some people come for the weekend before. Some people come during the week. Some people come for the days after Thanksgiving. Come join us. By the way, this is an open invitation, okay? Obviously, if you're a GenRight customer, we'd love to have you there, but it's not exclusive to GenRight customers. We actually want the non-GenRight customers to come so you can see what nice people we are and how our Jeeps work. So come on out and join us. I don't know anybody else in the industry that is openly inviting the public to come wheel with them. We're going to have a great time. It will be chilly. So I recommend some kind of an RV or an Airbnb or something. Tent camping, you know, it's possible, but you know, it's going to be chilly. So you might want to camp near the fire. What else we got?
That might be warmer than my steel tree.
And then of course, you know, like I said before, follow us on Instagram, like us on Facebook, and subscribe over on YouTube. Super important. We're constantly posting new videos every Friday over on YouTube.
Laura Coda wants to know, Laura Patterson wants to know, can we fly out and rent a Jeep for the turkey run?
Fly out, absolutely. I don't know about the rent a Jeep.
We could rent 4-shock out.
Or, I know everybody would love to drive, but I know we have open seats and people can definitely ride along. So, a lot of open seats. And we've had people from Jacksonville, Florida show up just out of the blue and ride along with us. I mean, we've had people from all over the country. Oh, actually, the guy from Israel rode with me there at Trail Hero. So, they come from all over.
Jeremy Valky, how do you guys protect the PRP seats from bad weather with no tops or half doors?
Yeah. They do sell covers, or you do the giant black trash bag. And if you listen to any tech talk I've ever done, you have the removable seat cushion and you take that inside. So then your butt will not be wet. It'll actually be warm because you're taking it out of the warm RV and setting it in the chair. So, yep. We've done it many times. So, or you get one of those best top, you know, trail covers, right? That's what I have. I have one of those too. So the heavy duty ones. So, or you bring your enclosed trailer and you park it inside there. That's what Kelly does. That's what Kelly does.
I have none of the above because I can't even take my cushions out.
Well, then you need a cab cover.
Something like that.
Yeah. So somewhere around here we have one for you.
I have one.
Yeah. So.
We are caught up on questions.
And we're out of time, I think.
I think so.
Right there, yeah.
So I'll give everybody like one more minute for a last question. Thanks everybody for joining us. Hopefully you all found that interesting and we got to talk about a lot of stuff. By the way, if you come out for Thanksgiving, you'll get to see us do all of those driving techniques that we just talked about. It is how you survive out there and how you flourish as a driver and really shine. So anyways, anything else? Any last minute?
To be honest, the driving techniques actually do help keep your Jeep together too.
Yeah, you're smoother.
Quite a bit
Right?
smoother.
You're not as beat up. You're not like banging on every rock. You know, it's just it helps smoothen the whole thing, and yeah, that's the name of the game. You know, make it last. You know, we've had Thanksgiving weeks where, you know, I've done like almost 100 miles a day. So by the end of the week, you've gone 1,000 miles. That's a long way. So yeah, a lot of fun out there. So. All right, everybody. Anything else, Jeff?
Ari would like to add, meeting GenRight in person is even better than Tech Talk. They're the real deal and super sincere.
Awesome. Thanks, Ari. Appreciate that. Yep. And literally, he and I just met for the first time when he picked up his Jeep. So that means a lot coming from him. So.